Imagine, if you will, a sequel to a video about a show that you've been watching for 25 years. Or maybe you binged it last night. The narrator describes terrible things, but really, they're just mildly interesting facts. Like how it was canceled numerous times and won't stay dead. Or that the cast still isn't paid enough. Whatever the reasons, you found yourself opening a door to the shit show.
Let's go already!
At the turn of the century, the Fox television network was in a creative crisis. They were the fourth-rated broadcast channel, relying heavily on reality shows and canceling more scripted series each season than renewing them, such as Family Guy in 2002.
We've been canceled.
Oh no, Peter, how could they do that?
Well, unfortunately, Lois, there's just no more room on the schedule. We've just got to accept the fact that Fox has to make room for terrific shows like Dark Angel, Titus, Undeclared, Action, That 80s Show, Wonder Falls, Fastlane, Andy Richter Controls the Universe, Skin, Girls Club, Cracking Up, The Pits, Firefly, Get Real, Freaky Links, Wanda at Large, Costello, The Lone Gunman, A Minute with Stan Hooper, Normal, Ohio, Pasadena, Harsh Realm, Keen Eddie, The Street, American Embassy, Cedric the Entertainer, The Tick, Louie, and Greg the Bunny.
Is there no hope?
Well, I suppose if all those shows go down the tubes, we might have a shot.
But in 2005, in an extremely rare move, Fox actually revived Family Guy, becoming an even rarer success story as it has been running ever since. As one would expect, this made the makers of Futurama exceedingly envious. Barely surviving their 4 production seasons, chopped up by Fox into 5 broadcast seasons, creator Matt Groening and showrunner David Cohen never understood why Fox hated their show, that they doomed it with a bad time slot. The series won an Emmy for Outstanding Animated Program, had a hardcore fan base, and was getting creatively better with each passing year. To Cohen, the most frustrating thing was that he and his team felt they were really hitting their stride when it was canceled.
Yes, I'm afraid the brainless drones who run the network canceled our license.
Futurama flickered out in 2003, but with an open-ended finale that wouldn't answer the show's greatest question: will Philip J. Fry and Taranga Leela end up together? The creators and fans held out hope there could still be a future.
You can't give up hope just because it's hopeless. You gotta hope even more and cover your ears and go blah, 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 blah.
As Futurama died, TV was evolving and expanding. Going into the 90s, broadcast television was only a few dozen channels, with only about 5 of them actually worth watching. But by the mid-2000s, cable and satellite TV were reaching their apex, bringing households hundreds of more channels that specialized in singular focused content. From MTV to Animal Planet. One such station was Cartoon Network, devoted entirely to showing your favorite Saturday morning cartoons all day long. They noticed a large number of adult males with no children and money to burn were watching the channel into the wee hours of the night.
The time is 4 a.m.
In response, they launched Adult Swim, a late-night block of television consisting of absurdist original programs, anime imports, and reruns of canceled too-soon animated shows, like Home Movies and The Oblongs. This is where Futurama and Family Guy found a new audience. While Family Guy was basically given to Cartoon Network for pennies on the dollar, as no other channel wanted it, the network paid Fox $10 million for the syndication rights to Futurama. With the 2 series in hand, Adult Swim's audience jumped over 200% in 2003, suddenly becoming a rival to late-night talk shows. Then came the next wave of media consumption, TV on DVD. Previously, studios only released thematic or best-of compilations on VHS because of the limited technology and immense size. With DVD, though, every episode of a single season could be compacted into one easily viewable and shareable package. Jump to or skip episodes at will, no commercials, no waiting to air, plus DVD extras.
This truly is the golden age of television.
Studios found a new revenue stream that previously never existed. Fox actually started the craze by releasing full sets of The X-Files. Though the first season of Chappelle's Show became the highest grossing set, making every studio take note, Right behind it was Family Guy, Volume 1, selling over 2 million copies. Combined with the millions of viewers tuning into Adult Swim, Fox was shocked by the numbers. It proved that audiences were willing to put their money where their mouths were and tune in for more. This is why Fox resurrected Family Guy for a 4th season. Feeling left out, David Cohen and Matt Groening kept reaching out to Fox, hoping a second chance was in the cards. Even after 72 episodes of the original run, they still hadn't got to some of the characters, stories, and ideas they'd had since their pitch to the network. Luckily, the Fox executives who hated and canceled Futurama were no longer there.
And not just fired, but beaten up too, and pretty badly.
It took 2 years of will they won't they before Fox came to Cohen and Groening about doing 2 or 3 straight-to-DVD movies. At that same time, Comedy Central, another stable of basic cable, was in the process of purchasing Futurama's syndication rights from Cartoon Network, and they were wondering if there was any interest in doing 16 new episodes for them.
Hooray! People are paying attention to me!
The 3 parties decided to combine the 2 deals into one. Cohen and Groening would make 4 movies for DVD, then cut those down into 4 episodes each to be aired on Comedy Central at a later date, totaling 16 episodes. The deal was signed and Futurama received its second chance.
It's not that bad to be canceled once in a while. I shouldn't say that, but we worked so hard on the show. There's no hiatus. If we finish writing the last episode, the earlier episodes are banging on the door in various stages of animation, demanding attention. So we never get a break. We work 12 months a year.
Because the movies had an increased scope and therefore an increased cost, they used 3D elements as much as possible to skip the long process of hand animation, which was now harder than ever because they'd be going into high definition for the first time. They also wanted to push the boundaries a bit with some gags they couldn't get away with on Fox.
Here's your package, sir.
Why are you talking to my penis?
The only real issues they encountered were during the 4th film, Into the Wild Green Yonder. Normally during their productions, the writers would make changes upon seeing the initial animatic before it was sent off to Rough Draft Korea to be fully animated. But during Yonder's production, both the 2007 writer's strike and a planned actor's strike severely limited the amount of changes the creative team could make before they joined the picket lines, essentially throwing a wrench into their usual order of doing things. The 4 movies were technically their 5th production season, deemed season 6 via broadcast, and the differences in the TV versions are mostly superfluous, with small cuts to fit the time constraints.
A wise man once said that nothing really dies. It just comes back in a new form. Then he died.
4 years after going dark, Futurama returned from the breach on November 27th, 2007, with the first film, Bender's Big Score. In 2008, it was followed up by The Beast with a Billion Backs, then Bender's Game. Lastly, Into the Wild Green Yonder landed in 2009, with each DVD film debuting on Comedy Central roughly 4 to 6 months later. For most, the movies, either as a complete package or separated into 22-minute chunks, were a mixed bag. All 4 would never be considered outright bad, but they definitely struggled with warranting their extended runtime. At its worst, the plot seems stretched too thin, and there isn't enough humor to make up for it. At its best, it revels in its sci-fi premises like no other series can do. Fox remained non-committal to more Futurama throughout the productions of the 4 films, but Cohen and Groening crossed their fingers that their new relationship with Comedy Central would lead to even more episodes.
We'll make it, or die trying.
Regardless, Cohen prepared for a finale all the same, as if they were being canceled. Written by Cohen and Ken Keeler, writer of the first finale on Fox, Into the Wild Green Yonder served as the second ending to Futurama, with the entire cast of characters all assembled together for the climax, in the series' most expensive scene, and Fry and Leela finally saying it.
Maybe I waited too long to say this, but I love you too. Wormhole!
But again, Cohen didn't want to wrap up everything and concluded the film on a quasi-cliffhanger.
Into the breach, meatbags.
Then a wondrous thing happened, why not? While the DVD sold well, it was the ratings of their broadcast counterparts and the old reruns that convinced Comedy Central it was worth bringing Futurama back. They entered talks with 20th Century Fox to make it happen. But if Futurama was moving to Comedy Central, why was Fox still involved? Because the real money in television is in syndication, aka reruns. Networks will sell their popular shows by the episode to any cable channel or local TV affiliate willing to pony up.
Wow, so this is a real TV station, huh?
Well, it's a Fox affiliate.
Which is why, for example, you'll see reruns of the NBC-produced Seinfeld on the WB in Houston, but on Fox in Chicago. With every syndication deal, the producers of said series stand to make billions of dollars. Today, streaming services will pay hundreds of millions to have exclusive rights to legacy series, like Friends and Seinfeld. For Futurama, remember how Cartoon Network initially purchased the cable rights for $10 million? That was basically passive income for Fox. So despite not being on Fox, this is why Futurama still had to deal with Fox. They originally made it, so they wanted to maintain a controlling stake in it.
Now you know something.
Fox had the option to air new episodes themselves, but didn't care enough. It was probably for the best.
Wow, Fox has really streamlined the process.
On the plus side, Comedy Central didn't want to interfere creatively or otherwise, simply telling them to go make the show. And also gave them a prime time slot, leading into The Daily Show. Fox's only concern was the budget. In order to make their return financially viable, Cohen had to run an even tighter ship than before. He had to cut his writing staff in half, composer Christopher Ting could no longer use a live orchestra, and the timeline for delivering episodes was shortened, forcing them to use more 3D models than they did on the movies. Cohen and his team were excited to return to episodic storytelling and dig into how much the world had changed, from iPhones to marriage equality. But as they reached 100 episodes, they realized how increasingly difficult it was to maintain continuity.
I've always had ears.
No, you haven't.
All right, fine, you got me. I can't keep track of every little detail.
They actually referenced fan wikis to help navigate the tangled web they had created, but chose to ignore it at times in service of telling a good story. Like the episode Lethal Inspection, which contradicts all kinds of lore about Bender's origins and functions, but ends in a surprisingly touching manner that most fans would agree was worth it. In June of 2009, shortly after the release of the fourth DVD movie, Fox and Comedy Central proudly announced the return of Futurama, with all the voice actors resuming their roles.
Yeah, we're back.
Actually, that last part was a lie. None of the cast had signed on, as Fox had lowballed their salaries, offering them less than what they had made previously. Mimicking a failed tactic they pulled on The Simpsons, Fox used the press release as a way to build buzz and apply pressure to the stars for ruining a good thing. Then adding insult to injury, sent out audition calls to replace them, followed by a statement saying they were sad to see them go, but the show must go on. Studios will always find a way to pay their talent less while simultaneously cashing in on their gifts. And voice actors have notoriously been treated unfairly, despite how much they contribute to the popularity of studios' characters and brands. Thankfully, after a month of negotiations, Fox and the cast met in the middle, with the studio paying them more, but not as much as the cast was asking for. The deal with Fox was to make up to 26 episodes, meaning it could be dialed back at a moment's notice, and Comedy Central was playing wait and see with the new episodes before ordering more. Since it takes nearly 9 months to make an episode, they wouldn't know if they were renewed until it was too late.
Oh, I try to act cool, but inside I'm freaking out.
Cohen prepared for another series finale, in the outside chance it didn't work out. And who better to write it than Ken Keeler, two-time finale champ. Overclockwise is the third ending to Futurama, in which Bender becomes near omnipotent in his processing power, and hands Fry and Leela a never-revealed list of their future together, once again ending the series with a hopeful moment. Luckily, this would not be the end. Yet.
On the count of 3, you will awaken feeling refreshed, as if Futurama had never been canceled by idiots, then brought back by bigger idiots.
On June 24th, 2010, in the aptly titled episode Rebirth, Futurama found themselves reborn through a new channel.
That was the Panama Wormhole, Earth's central channel for shipping.
How humorous.
Yes, it's sort of a comedy central channel. And we're on it now.
I get it!
It was a welcome return, and Comedy Central renewed them for another 26 episodes. Futurama's 4 years on cable highlighted some of the best episodes the series had produced, including the existentially funny The Late Philip J. Fry, that won the series' second Outstanding Animated Program Emmy. However, as a whole, most fans believe, while entertaining, it never reached the quality set by the original Fox run. This time, the 2 production seasons of 6 and 7 became 4 broadcast seasons, labeled seasons 7 through 10, and the episodes are only slightly out of order. But what really mattered was their ratings. And unfortunately, the show continued to decline throughout its revival. Living on borrowed time, Cohen sensed Comedy Central was likely not going to renew them for another season, and that this could be the actual last finale. Aired on September 4th, 2013, meanwhile, marks the 4th time Cohen anticipated the end of all things.
I'm going to give you my definition. We call it a final episode if at the time we wrote it, we thought it was going to be our final episode. This is our 4th final episode, and I think it's probably our best last episode ever.
Written by, who else? Ken Keeler, meanwhile finds the universe with everyone in it permanently frozen, other than Fry and Leela. It gives them a chance to finally come together, fall in love, get married, and happily grow old, side by side. It's largely a toss-up between those who prefer this ending as the better finale versus the original on Fox. But unlike the 3 previous outings, this one did feel like a true and proper goodbye, and is regarded as one of the best episodes of the entire series. In true Futurama fashion, Cohen made sure the series still had an out.
What do you say? Want to go around again?
I do.
Sure enough, Comedy Central pulled the plug. Futurama was canceled once again.
We all know any TV show that's even slightly good gets canceled. Sometimes 2 or 3 times.
Remarkably, at 140 episodes, Cohen and his team still felt the series had more to offer. Groening tried to find yet another home, but no network was interested.
I'll have to start at the bottom.
But Fox already said no.
He joked that perhaps the show would find its way onto the internet somehow, but believed it was going out on the series' strongest season. Cohen simply thanked fans for helping them survive this long, and that's really all they could have asked for.
The fans don't owe us anymore at this point. Our fans have helped us more than the fans of almost any other show. I cannot thank our fans enough. I mean, thanks to them, we did have ultimately a long run that I feel very proud of.
1 year after the finale, Futurama closed the loop on its creative journey by literally colliding with its animated forefather, The Simpsons.
You know, they look a little similar.
Yeah, like the guy who designed Bender just took a drawing of Dad and stuck an antenna on it.
A little lazy, if you ask me.
Pitched by their showrunner Al Jean and written by J. Stewart Burns, a writer on both series, Simpsorama in 2014 marks the 15th anniversary for Futurama and the 25th for The Simpsons. While a funny diversion, had the episode released while Futurama was still airing, it might have been more fondly received. As it stood, at the time, it seemed like an awkward reunion after the series had already departed.
Matt Groening told me at Futurama, he said, we'll find a place. Don't worry, it's not going to end. So, I don't know, it may take a minute to find another place, but I just hold out hope for it.
I'm still convinced that Futurama somehow will go to season 10. It'll just take us till 2024 to get there.
The decade since Futurama left the air again, TV had changed again.
Have you seen my new 301-inch TV?
Hypnotoad is brought to you by the Magnafalix 302-inch TV. It's bigger.
Oh, hell!
For one, adult animation had skyrocketed, with hits like BoJack Horseman, Big Mouth, Harley Quinn, Invincible, so much anime, and dozens of others disguised as kids' shows. There was even Matt Groening's third series, Disenchantment. Most importantly, though, was Adult Swim's Rick and Morty, something co-creator Dan Harmon called a combination of The Simpsons and Futurama. With its heavy push into science fiction and equally heavy topics, Rick and Morty filled the void left by Futurama and turned it into a billion-dollar franchise. Perhaps Futurama walked, so Rick and Morty could portal gun. The other big shift was how streaming became the dominant form of media consumption. By 2023, 40% of TV watchers preferred streaming services over cable and broadcast. Wait, only 40%? Old people, huh?
But I like being old. I don't have to talk to my parents. No one asked me to help move their stuff. I don't need to understand today's edgy TV sitcoms.
Okay.
Looking to fill their services with content, the companies began mining nostalgia, reviving everything from Animaniacs to Beavis and Butthead. It was only a matter of time before the Planet Express crew was given a third second chance.
Fat chance, Sweatpants. It got canceled 10 years ago. TV shows don't come back after that. No way. Not on broadcast or cable.
What about Hulu? They'll bring back any old crap.
Hulu, like Adult Swim before it, offered the best collection of animated sitcoms, new and old. From family fare like Bob's Burgers, Adventure Time, and Gravity Falls, to edgier stuff like Family Guy, Archer, and South Park. According to Hulu, of their top 10 shows, based on hours streamed, most are animated, including Futurama. Hulu, or Disney Plus for those outside of the United States, must have seen how many subscribers were choosing to watch and rewatch it, and met with Cohen & Co., who jumped at the chance.
Here's our pitch. Remember that show,
Futurama? The one that got canceled 3 times?
Exactly! New episodes of that! That's our pitch.
And in February of 2022, Hulu announced Futurama's third resurrection. 20 new episodes with everyone returning, except John DiMaggio, aka him, Bender. DiMaggio was holding out as he felt the studio was taking advantage of him and his other castmates by not properly compensating them based on the popularity of the series. Streaming residuals are already pathetic for the vast majority of actors, but there was also the rise of artificial intelligence that continues to threaten all of voice actors' jobs. Right now, studios are offering these actors a flat fee to sign away their voices and likeness to be duplicated via AI as they see fit. It seems MomCorp really isn't that far off.
Wow, robots, cool.
Yes, they're much better than unions. I mean humans.
Seeing as how both Hulu and Fox were now owned by Disney, they held all the cards. And their contract did not include any protections against this industry-wide disruption. DiMaggio countered their offer, and Disney went ahead and made the announcement without him. Repeating the salary disputes Fox attempted years earlier, this time, Disney won out. They told DiMaggio they would be replacing him with guest stars, and DiMaggio eventually caved. He didn't want the demise of the revival to be squarely on him, and signed the original offer. Ahead of the curve, all of DiMaggio's issues would be echoed the next year when the Actors and Writers Guilds both went on strike, fighting for the very same reasons.
Any TV show that truly cares about its audience, that loves and respects them must be canceled every few years. It's simply the right thing to do.
9 years frozen in place, Futurama rebooted on July 24th, 2023.
Did someone switch the universe off and on?
It feels like we got rebooted.
This incarnation, so far, has garnered a lukewarm reception, with many enjoying it as more of the same, for better or worse. As with all streaming services, viewership data is a closely guarded secret. So whatever ratings the show may have received, Hulu did renew it for another 20 episodes, making that its 9th production season, or its 13th and 14th broadcast seasons. Y'all, this is getting out of hand. However, it took 3 months for Hulu to commit and or secure a renewal, so it's safe to say that another contingency finale, or 2, are on the horizon. And that gives studios plenty of time to come up with new ways to screw over their own talent, as the race to the bottom continues. With more AI startups cropping up every day and no regulations to hold them accountable, the threat across all mediums and departments will be a legitimate problem. In the case of animation, it could be devastating, especially for voice actors. Studios see their role as nothing more than another replaceable tool, while disregarding how invaluable they are to the very products the studios rely on. What would these multi-billion-dollar franchises ever have been without Mel Blanc's legendary versatility?
Duck season. Duck season!
Clarence Nash's anger. June Foray's optimism.
We're gonna have a lot of fun. Come on and join us.
Nancy Cartwright's sass.
Don't have a cow, Dad.
Kevin Conroy's pathos.
I am Batman.
Tara Strong's bubbliness.
I wish for no more breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Just dessert.
Or Tom Kenny's laugh. Voice actors bring their characters to life and establish an unparalleled emotional bond with the audience that for decades have shaped our childhoods and beyond. All of this is true and more with Futurama. There's a reason after 25 years the show keeps coming back. From the writer's deft balance of sci-fi madness and heartwarming tales, to the hysterical animation that honors the classics that came before. Then there's the unbeatable genius of Billy West, Katie Segal, John DiMaggio, Phil Lamar, Lauren Tom, David Herman, Maurice LaMarche, and Tress MacNeille. For how much they contribute to the success of the series, they deserve their fair share of those profits.
We got a right to pick a little fight with rustlers. Somebody wants to pick a fight with us, he better bite my ass.
Yeehaw!